Interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. It's National Poetry Day, Tone. You got one for us?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. Of course I do. Roses are red, so much is for naught. The Bulls haven't won since that half-court shot. Now, I know that Norton shot don't exactly rhyme, but you get the idea, right? You get the idea.
But they've lost 2 games since then, and they got popped at OKC last night, but everybody gets popped against OKC, and that's just going to happen. Last 15 games, the Bulls are better than any of us dreamed. And it doesn't mean much, but, I feel better about them.
Glad you feel better about them. The audience is glad when you feel better about something. In today's episode, after we welcome everybody to PTI, boys and girls, in today's episode, UConn is back in the women's Final Four. NFL owners make changes, and Maryland has a new head coach. But we begin today with a big turn in baseball's embrace of torpedo bats. The league is reportedly planning to ban the bats going forward, citing the commissioner's integrity of the game clause. Among the reported reasons, a concern that a spike in offensive output could throw off all the over-under numbers issued by sports betting interests. Wilbon, baseball backed the bats just 2 days ago. Is it doing the right thing by reconsidering?
No. Tony, this is so overreactionary. Baseball just never seems to get it right. Look, there were only 7 hitters last year who hit 300 in the major leagues. 7. That's a crazy low. Batting averages overall way down. They've done all these things to actually, unlike the trend in most sports, take offense away, right? They've done that, and so you got the analytics out there and spin rate and torque and all these things, and so finally somebody comes up with something that can help people hit a few home runs that aren't named Judge because he doesn't need the help, and baseball overreacts like this. Tony, this is insane. Remember the commercials about people digging the long ball? Whatever happened to that marketing campaign? Did all those marketing people get fired a few years ago?
Well, at your insistence, most of them have been fired as recently as an hour ago. Look, this is about what happens when you get involved with gambling interests. All of these leagues, the NBA, the NFL, MLB, they all have gambling partners. As a result of that, the integrity of each game becomes more important because people bet on these games, Mike, and they bet at the encouragement of the leagues. This is like what's so bad about in the NBA when people start to tank. People lose thousands of dollars on every game betting on a team that's not only not trying to win, but is actively trying to lose. Look at Ellie De La Cruz last night. He gets one of these bats in his hands and he destroys the over-under number because he's so far over. Prop bets, it's like a cyclone with these new bats. And Mike, what if you're the Milwaukee Brewers? You open up against the Yankees, you go 0-3, you give up 36 runs. Now baseball bans the bats. Do you get the 3 games back? Do you schedule them later in the season? Nestor Cortez gave up 5 home runs. What happens to his ERA? How does he get his ERA back? I'm telling you, I understand this. I do. I get it.
If you want to ban something, Tony, ban that right field wall being 204 feet from home plate in Yankee Stadium.
That's history.
Ban that.
Yeah, that's history. They're not going to do that. Do you want me to say it, or do you want to say it as to what we're doing here? Which one of us?
I like saying it. I'm such a curmudgeon now. That's an April Fool's story, you dopes, knuckleheads. April 1.
You know what?
Read it and wait.
When I prepared for this story, I think we just did it very well. I think we established positions that we could both live with. I really do, actually.
And I got to take a shot at baseball, Major League Baseball, just because. Let's move to the women's Final Four, and this is not an April Fool's joke. Paige Beckers, if you saw it, and I did, scored 31, and UConn beat Southern Cal in one regional final last night, and Texas beat TCU in the other. So, the tournament semis will pit Texas against South Carolina, and UConn versus UCLA. Tony, do you have Gino Auriemma's Huskies, the lone 2 seed among 3 1s, as the Final Four favorite?
To win the entire thing? Is that what you're asking me? Do I pick them now to win the entire thing?
Yeah.
No, I don't, because of what you just said. There are 2, and the other 3 teams in here are 1. Look, I love Gino Auriemma. I love what he's done at UConn over the years, and we haven't ever seen anything like it. He's been to 24 Final Fours. John Wooden only went to 12. Gino's been to 16 of the last 17 Final Fours. It's absolutely remarkable. But I'm going to tell you something, Mike. I was stunned this morning when I learned that UConn was either a 7.5 or an 8.5 point favorite over UCLA in the next game. I mean, I couldn't believe it. UCLA is the overall #1 seed. UCLA only lost to one team all year. It's twice, but only one team, USC with Juju Watkins. Okay? And then UCLA beat USC with Juju Watkins. Connecticut just beat USC without Juju Watkins and lost to them with Juju Watkins. So I am amazed. What did UCLA do to become the underdog in this particular game?
Well, Tony, UConn looks like a steamroller again. It's less about what UCLA did or has done or not done than what UConn is doing, Paige Beckers specifically, and AZ Fudd and their freshman big. I mean, UConn looks like the monster on the block, but I don't have them as a favorite. I got the defending national champs as favorites. I got South Carolina as the favorite. South Carolina, Dawn Staley's teams have been to 5 consecutive Final Fours. They've won 3 since Gino's won. So as great as Gino's machine has been, and you did not overstate it by one bit, South Carolina's been every bit of that, and they got the incentive of having been clocked already this season by UConn. That would be some game if they play each other in the final.
Paige Beckers is a great, great player. I see that. But doesn't UCLA, what does UConn do about Lauren Betts, who's averaging 23-9 and shooting 75% from the field in the tournament? Well, Mike,
but she struggled against Quick, but
no, they're not.
UConn is going to be the favorite in that game. You knew it coming in. But wait till we get a line. If we get the matchup of South Carolina, the other USC, they don't like that down in Gamecockville, versus UConn.
Let's move to NFL rule changes and not rule changes. The biggest news is that the tush push has been tabled. Our friend Mark Maskey of the Washington Post reports that 16 teams want to ban it, but you need 24. In actual changes, both teams will get the ball in overtime, so an opening drive touchdown won't automatically win the game. And touchbacks on kickoffs will go out to the 35-yard line next season, not the 30, in an attempt to discourage kicking off into the end zone. Wilbon, where do you want to start?
You know, I guess with the tweaks to things that actually we know about, so few kicks have been returned the last couple of years, even though it went from 22%, which is really low, up to like 33%. And I know there are people now in that room on that committee that believe it could go up to 60%. I don't believe that. Maybe 40, but even 40 would be an improvement on, Tony, a play that you and I have always thought is the most exciting play in professional football. Just like taken away, it's gone. And, you know, but I like the tinkering with overtime. I was okay with the way it was, but I'm okay with this too. And the tush push, I'm just sort of disappointed that there's enough momentum to even get 16 teams to say, yeah, we ought to get rid of this or, you know, seriously consider it. And they're just going to table it for a while to the next meetings in May. Disappointed in that. But I'm okay with the other 2 changes that just sort of tinker around the edges. Anything that can bring more kick returns back, I'm in favor of.
Yeah, I'm going to track over what you're saying. I love the kickoff return. And by the way, I'm fine with what they've done to eliminate the big momentum of the kicking team once they kick the ball off, because now they're only 5 yards apart. I'm good with that.
That's right.
But I want to see more kickoff returns. It did go from 21.8% to 32.8%. And Rich McKay of the competitions committee, he's the guy who says it could go to 60 or 70. I'd love to see that. It's the best play in football, so I'm good with that. Like you, I'm okay with the fact that everybody's going to get the ball in overtime. But personally, like you, I liked it this way. I liked it that you could get the ball on a kickoff and you could get a touchdown and knock the other team out. Because like you, I would say, hey, play defense and shut up. Stop them, and then you'll get the ball back. But because this is fair, and it is fair, I'm going to live with it. The tush push, Mike, the tush push is something that probably looks illegal to most people, and it looks like it's from the 1930s at the beginning of the NFL. But what bothers me here is that I think the Packers are doing this just because the Eagles are so good at it. And that's not fair. That's selective punishment. And I don't like that. Let's take a break.
Agreed.
Coming up, St. John star R.J. Lewis Jr. has entered the transfer portal. What is the word for that? I think people are going to believe us. I think they're going to believe us that they're going to ban the torpedo bat. I think we sold that. I was happy with that one.
Torpedo bat.
It's time to get it on with Lexicon. And what's the word? What's first?
It's blank that St. John star R.J. Lewis Jr. has entered the transfer portal.
My word is predictable. I know, Mike, when I was looking at him, when he was benched for the last 5 minutes in the Arkansas game, I thought, this is it. He's not going to come back to this. I know he was the Big East Player of the Year, and I know he was 3 for 17 from the floor in that game. But when they cut away on shots to him, he just looks so sad. Now, there are sources out there that are saying, no, it's not about that incident at all. He wants to go to the NBA. He wants to check on his draft status. If his draft status, he finds out, isn't what he wants it to be, then he'll go back to college at another place. And the sources also say, you know, that St. John's, they're okay with it as well. There's no animosity, but they don't want to wait until May to find out his decision, so they've already begun to replace him. And if you want to believe it's peachy keen, you go ahead and you believe that. But me personally, I believe that he was embarrassed by that and angered by that, and he said, I'm out of here.
Tony, more than one thing can be true, and it is in all these cases with transferring. My word is he's transferring. It must be Tuesday. That's what happens every day in college sports and high school sports. Tony, I know a school, I'm not going to name which school, that's got 5 people visiting like this week in the transfer portal. What I didn't tell you, and I'm here to tell you now on national television, is I have entered the transfer portal. And I'm hoping to go and join Mike Greenberg for a powerful Northwestern power tandem at Get Up. So I have entered the transfer portal, and I've applied for NIL funds. Tony, they all transfer. They all transfer all the time. And even if this kid had won that game and gone to the next game, chances are he would transfer because that's what they do.
I don't believe the last part of it. Let's go. What's next?
The A's debut in Sacramento last night was blank.
It was humiliating. They lost 18-3 to the Cubs. 18-3. And that's not the worst part. The worst part is they could not fill that minor league stadium in Sacramento. It only holds 14,000, and they only got 12,000 people to that game. And this is not a one-year deal like in Tampa Bay while they fix a stadium. The A's could be in Sacramento for 3 to 4 years. I mean, I think this looks terrible for the A's. By the way, their radio broadcast even went out. It looks terrible for Major League Baseball. They should have somehow kept that team in Oakland. That team got better last year. It just looks like baseball completely botched this.
You know, Tony, I wish the team had stayed in Oakland too, but I'm not going to say they should have. I'm not. Because I told you I would call you on my cell phone as I was walking into a Warriors playoff game in April, May, or June, and I would just walk in like you're walking into a high school game. Have a seat. The ushers would say, oh, you going to the Warriors? You got a couple hours, watch a game. No one went there. It's not humiliating at all. It's typical. This is what they got. And so it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad night. They drew about the same number of people they drew
losing
in that
18-3. Yeah, okay, it's a minor league park, Mike. It's the minor leagues. This is the majors, and they're in the minors. They're in the minors.
So the difference between that and drawing 12,000 to a 50,000 seat stadium, that's somehow different? No, it isn't.
It is to me.
That's more embarrassing.
It is to me. It is to me.
That's more embarrassing to me.
And I don't even want to cite analytics on it.
Franchise,
that's the final word.
The 5th city for this franchise. The A's move they've applied to the transfer portal. The A's have now entered again the transfer portal.
That's right. And they're going to end up with you and Greeny on Get Up. Let's take one last break. Still to come, the 0-5 Braves get two more pieces of bad news.
And do the Celtics get enough attention for what they're doing on the road this season? Transfer portal.
Even when they drew 11-5, let's say, at the Oakland Coliseum, that's a major league ballpark. If you can't sell out a minor league ballpark, why are you in the business?
It's not a major league ballpark. It's a
Well, was.
It's a...
Happy time, people. Happy 21st birthday, Tyrese Proctor. The Duke guard has lit it up during the NCAA tournament so far. In the round of 64, Proctor was 6 of 8 from 3 in just 21 minutes against Mount St. Mary's. In the round of 32, Proctor was 7 of 8 from 3 against Baylor. In the round of 16, Proctor fell off, shooting just 1 of 4 from 3 against Arizona. But in the regional final against Alabama, Proctor was 7 of 10 from the field. So far in the NCAAs, the 6'6 junior from Australia, Proctor, is averaging 17 points a game, which is complementing the 6'9 freshman from Maine, Cooper Flagg's 19.5 points per game.
Potentially in the NBA. He just seems to be that new wave player that's got a lot of different skills and can really elevate once he gets to the next level.
Happy anniversary, Roy Williams. On this day 4 years ago, the North Carolina coach surprisingly retired after 33 years at Kansas and at Carolina and 3 national titles, all at Chapel Hill. People wondered if this was an April Fool's joke, but in short order, Mike Krzyzewski announced plans to retire after one more season at Duke. Jay Wright retired from Villanova. Jim Boeheim retired from Syracuse. Tony Bennett retired from Virginia, all national championship coaches. Former player and longtime UNC assistant Hubert Davis took over for old Roy and got to the national title game in his first season. The next few haven't been as kind. The selection of the Heels as a first 4 team this year was criticized, though they won that game.
Tony, I think what all those men knew was that the landscape was going to change dramatically in college basketball, and it wasn't going to resemble anything they had worked their lives and competed in over a lifetime to be great in. And you know what? They're right. It doesn't resemble it at all.
Happy trails, Jurickson Profar. Baseball suspended the Braves' new left fielder for 80 regular season games and the postseason for PEDs. The 31-year-old journeyman was making $1 million from the Padres last season when he produced a big surge in his stats, made his first All-Star game. That career year enticed the Braves in January to sign him to a 3-year deal worth $42 million. The team says it's, quote, surprised and extremely disappointed, unquote. Something it could also say about its record so far. The Braves are 0-5, have scored just 8 runs total, and yesterday placed All-Star pitcher Ronaldo Lopez on the IL with shoulder inflammation.
You know what, Tony? Extending that ban, making it effective in the postseason, that gives it some real teeth. There's punishment there
100%.
if you have to miss the postseason.
100%. And additional happy trails to the opening for the Maryland basketball job. After Kevin Willard left for Villanova and appeared to render the Maryland job worthless, the Terps came up with Buzz Williams, who will leave Texas A&M to ride to the rescue at College Park. Williams has taken Texas A&M, Virginia Tech, and Marquette to the NCAA tournament 11 times. Williams has been to the Elite 8 once and the Sweet 16 3 other times. In comparison, Willard has been to 7 NCAA tournaments while coaching Seton Hall in Maryland and reached the Sweet 16 once this year with Maryland.
Tony, Maryland basketball has been incredibly important for a long time. But in the Big Ten now, just let me ask you, is it fair to wonder if Maryland basketball has an identity issue that it is still grappling with through no real fault of its own?
Yeah, because everybody knows it from its ACC matchups for 50 years. They don't have any of those in the Big Ten yet. We go to the Big Finish. The NBA suspended 5 players for their roles in the Pistons-Wolves scuffle. Okay by you?
Yeah, you know, there had to be some suspensions, but they had to go crazy. It was not a brawl, as some people say. There were no punches thrown. Steelers owner Art Rooney II says signs are pointing in the direction of Aaron Rodgers joining the team. Your thoughts?
Just wake me when something happens officially. The Red Sox and Garrett Crochet reportedly agreed on a 6-year extension worth $170 million. Wow, does that make sense?
Wow, it's a bit of forecasting because he's only thrown 224 innings in his career. Just wondering. Dustin May, not Dusty May, Dustin, makes his first start since 2023. tonight for the 6-0 Dodgers against the winless Braves. How significant is May's return?
The red-haired kid, right? I hope he's great, but if not, the Dodgers are still loaded. Last one, Celtics went 6-0 on their road trip. You impressed?
They're so great on the road, they have a chance to equal the all-time record as a road warrior. Forgive the pun. Yeah, I'm impressed.
We're out of time. We'll try to do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the podcast on the app.
I know what the data says, and I know how we coach it, and we don't coach a push play any different than we coach a quarterback sneak play. The injury data says what it says, and we coach it the exact same, whether somebody's pushing or whether somebody's not pushing.
I remember reading about the forward pass, and they said it really was an odd play that is no part of American football, and so it was controversial when the forward pass came out. I don't ever remember a play being banned because a single team or a few teams were running it effectively.
If it stays, it stays, and we all have to figure out a way to stop it. It's maybe not the most beautiful play I've ever seen. I don't watch much rugby, but it looks a lot like that, but we'll see what everybody decides.
It works. It's football. Shefty back here with us. What's next in this process with the tush push?
Kevin, despite all those voices, the most important voice belongs to Roger Goodell. And the NFL commissioner told reporters this afternoon that he had some hesitation. You can read between the lines of what he was saying. Conversations are going to continue. He said there was no actual injury data, but that they were trying to be proactive and get ahead from a player being injured in this particular play. He said that they were interested in going back to the way the rule was pre-2004, when players were not allowed to push players the way the Eagles have done so masterfully in recent years with the play now known as the tush push. And so conversations will continue at the league meetings in May in Minneapolis. But the fact that this was tabled and not rejected today tells you that there's a real chance that we've seen the last of the tush push, and your Philadelphia Eagles are going to have to find a different play on 3rd and short, 4th and short, goal line plays to get the ball in the end zone, because there's a real possibility that the tush push has seen its final days.
One thing they have is a quarterback that can squat 650 pounds in Jalen Hurts. Eagles offensive tackle Lane Johnson with a subtweet today saying, "Hate us because they ain't us." All right, now the NFL draft is only 23 days away, and the Giants have the 3rd overall pick. And it could go many different ways. They need a franchise quarterback after Daniel Jones didn't work out, but they did sign Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston this offseason. Head coach Brian Daboll spoke today about the quarterbacks and their draft pick.
I think as many good players as we can add, we'll take. So right now we have the 3 guys in the quarterback room. We'll see what happens here over the next, call it month, if you will, and whoever's in that room, we'll do the best job we can of coaching them up.
We saw you dapping up Shedeur Sanders. You obviously have a relationship there. What have you got to know about him so far as a person?
Yeah, again, I respect the question. Just relative to the guys in the draft and the draft picks and the evaluation process of these guys, I'll keep all that stuff in-house right now.
Shefty, this question ain't going anywhere for the next 23 days, so get ready to hear it every single day, even in your sleep. What's the latest you're hearing about the top quarterbacks in this draft as we have the Titans on the clock?
Kevin, it certainly seems like Cam Ward is locked into the number 1 position, and it certainly seems like the Titans are way more inclined to hold on to that pick today than to move off it. And then that becomes, where does Shedeur Sanders go? And there are signs, though no direct evidence, that he will not go number 2 to the Cleveland Browns. And there are signs, though not direct evidence, that he may not go number 3 to the New York Giants. Most personnel people agree that the elite players in this draft class are Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, who could potentially shape up as the 2nd and 3rd overall picks in this draft in no particular order, to the Cleveland Browns at 2 and the New York Giants at 3. And that'll be the big decision that both those franchises, especially the New York Giants, have to make. Are the other players so good that you can't pass them up?